Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So,
Okay.
can I start?
Yes, sir. Just wait 1 minute. Let's start. So, good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all for the day 7 of our FDP on Agentic AI. For the session 1, we have Dr. Nikunj Tahil Ramani, sir. I welcome you, sir, for the day 7 again. So now you can start your sharing screen and give your knowledge to the participants.
Okay. So thank you, sir, for introducing me last time. And this is the last session from my side. So good afternoon to all for the, the last session from my side in this Agentic AI FTP. So today I'm sharing my screen. So I hope the screen is visible to all the participants and my voice is also clearly audible. If it is
Yes, sir.
not, then you can just ping me in between. Mm. Okay. So last time around, we were discussing about the last concept. What I discussed was human in the loop. Okay. And I shown you how to then also I demonstrated the agentic RAG, which was the official documentation given on the page of the LangChain LangGraph documentation. I implemented that. Then I shown you the Streamlit, how to use the Streamlit as a front end and the LangGraph as a back end. Okay. So now many of the questions were there that how to make this end to end last time. So maybe last couple of sessions, many requests were there from the even coordinators from that the participants wants to learn about the end-to-end line graph based application. So today I will be showing you that up to the API part. Okay, so how to make a API of the line graph based application, agentic AI application. Okay. So before that, there are a couple of things that I need to cover, and then I will show you that end-to-end agentic AI deployment part. So last time I was showing you the human in the loop, and human in the loop was demonstrated using something called as interrupt. Okay, we demonstrated the human in the loop with something called as interrupt, right? So that's what uh, I actually demonstrated about the interrupt part, that how it is actually interrupting your process in between and ask your approval when you run the code. Okay, so we discussed couple of points like why human in the loop is required. So for that also I made two more Python notebook so that you can understand clearly that why we need this kind of human in the loop. So for that I made these two notebook, which is chatbot without human in the loop and chatbot with human in the loop. Okay. So here I have written couple of codes which are like just a simple code where there is a stop price tool is being triggered. Okay, and it is asking me to place the order. Once I place the order, this code, which is without human in the loop, what it will do is it will directly place the order without any concern, and this code will ask me that what to do, whether I should place or not. So I will quickly run this code so that you can just see the difference. First, I will run without human in the loop. So I have already installed the uh, yes, we have just started. So once I will run this loop, this without human in the loop Python file, then it will ask me, uh, it is having some kind of tool, and those are get stock price and purchase stock. So these are the tool which I have kept it in this. Okay, so it will run that, and those tools I have already placed over here. Right. So here I am writing, the chatbot is on. Now I will write, please give stock price of Apple. So it will tell me the stock price of Apple is $308.82. Now if I'll ask that place the order of 10 shares of AAPL. So it will directly tell me that your order for 10 shares of AAPL has been successfully placed, right? So actually it should ask me that, your order of 10 shares is can be placed. Can you approve that, yes or no? Okay, but just I gave the instruction that place the order of 10 shares, and it has directly place those 10 shares order, and it will purchase for me. Okay, then if I want to exit, I will exit. Goodbye. That are the termination words which I kept in my code. Okay. Now the same process, I will run this file which is with human in the loop. So now the process will be much more systematic based on the human approval. It will work. So now if I ask the same, place the order of 10 shares of Apple. So it will ask me approve buying 10 shares of APL, because here I have implemented the interrupt mechanism. So what is your decision? It is asking me. If I say yes, the current price of AAPL, which is Apple, is, so it is showing me the price because I have directly asked it to place the order. So it asked me that, should I go for the buy or not? So I said yes, and then it is saying the current price of APL, the purchase order of 10 share has been successfully placed. So this is what is the human in the loop. It is asking me that what should I do? Okay. So this is how it works when I talk about the human in the loop part. Now let's go to the next concept, which is again very important when you go for industry grade projects. Okay. So that concept is nothing but observability. So this is the folder. I have not pushed it into the GitHub. Today I will push all the things because today I will be completing my all the discussion. So today I'll push all the changes into the GitHub, and then again you can download the respective folder and run at your end. Okay. So before this, what I can do is I can explain you what is observability in terms of LangGraph. Okay. And for which we need to understand about Langsmith. Okay, so Langsmith is very important when we talk about the observability, because debugging is very much important when we talk about the industry grade uh, production of agentic AI application. Okay, now what will happen in the traditional software lifecycle? If you give any kind of input, it will process that and it will give you the output. Okay, so you are expecting some output and you are getting that output, whatever the output which you are trying to, uh, what in which you are interested, and how you program the whole code. Okay, so that is what is traditional software lifecycle. But when we talk about LLM based application, here the the scenario of execution, scenario of writing down the codes is totally different. Here we have to have many modules which are being implemented in your whole code base. I'll show you in the next discussion where I will show you end-to-end deployment part. Okay. So we have the prompt, which is the input. Now here we have several branches. Instead of one sequence, we have many things, right? One is like context retrieval. One is the vector database query, right? And all these things will go simultaneously inside into the LLM, which is a brain. Okay. And then the brain will generate the different answer based on the requirement. Okay. So you can assume that there are different React agents which are being placed in this pipeline. We have a data ingestion. In data ingestion, obviously, we have the data from the GCP cloud or GCP bucket. We can have a data from the S3 bucket of the AWS. Okay, let's say the data is there in the cloud bucket. If you have make the data ingestion pipeline and you are performing ETL, okay, export, transfer and load. Okay, transport and load, right? So that transformation and loading part. Okay, extract, transformation and loading. So extract means extracting from the cloud. The data is, let's say, situated on the cloud. Now once you fetch this, so that data, now you have to have many things, like the data will go to the LLM directly, the data will go to create for a vector database like a RAG kind of thing. Okay, so you have many things in parallel, and then all things will go to the respective AI agents, and then individual AI agents, possibly React agents, will give you the output. Okay, so this is much more complex compared to the normal traditional softwares where we just give the input and we require the output which is, or which are of our interest, and that's how we programmed that software. Okay, so here we have to go for the tracing. Tracing means you have to trace, because the workflows, the orchestration is very much complex. Okay, and at that time, maybe somewhere down the line, your workflow may not work properly after some amount of time. There are a region which are possible through which this is actually happening. The code is not working properly. As I told you in the last class, that please run my Python codes within a week, because the Python libraries are getting deprecated very soon. Okay, so that's how, like, the things are getting changed very quickly. Okay, so in that case, we need to trace, we need to debug the whole process, because it's not going to run forever. Somewhere down the line, in some path, there may be some kind of issue. And if you run this kind of complex AI, agentic AI workflow, you may not be able to debug that where that problem is. Because of that, I'm not getting the proper output. So output is the one aspect. There are many things. Like in this case, if I talk about, first is the latency. Now here you can understand that supposedly there is one. Let's say you are you have a one startup and you have one product. Okay, so let's say you are having one startup and you have one product. Now what that product is? That product is actually helping the students to get the job. Now how? Let's say you are an agency which is using agentic AI chatbot, which you made. Let's say the student will come at your portal, or maybe it is using your software. Now what that student will be doing is, let's say student has found that some LinkedIn job links, okay, where you can apply for the job. So that link the student is actually giving to your chatbot. So supposedly there is a one link of the LinkedIn link, which where you have, suppose, data scientist job at Oracle, or data scientist job at TCS, or whatever it is, Infosys. Okay. So that link student will give to your app. Okay, that LinkedIn link. Now there, at that particular link, the JD is already posted by the company. Okay. So what that chatbot will do is, your chatbot is connected with your Google Drive, let's say. Your chatbot is connected with your Google Drive, and in which all the folders, all the data of your resume, or maybe let's say CV, your achievements, your certification courses, your projects which you have done. Okay, all those kind of repository is there in your Google Drive. So what the chatbot is doing is, once it will receive the LinkedIn link where the JD of the specific company is there, it will take that JD, it will try to fetch out what are the requirements by the company, what the company is looking in the candidate which they are going to hire for a specific post like data scientist. Okay. Now that job role it will clearly find out, and then it will go to your Google Drive simultaneously and try to find out whether that skill which wants which is required by the company listed in the JD is there in your CV or not, is there in your projects which you have done or not, is there in your certification courses if you have done on that or not. Okay, and then if it is matching with your JD in with some score, it will try to recommend that yes, this could be your match and maybe you can apply for that. So maybe you dump thousands of links simultaneously into the chatbot, and chatbot will find out the relevant link which can be suitable for that student who is using this agentic AI chatbot given by the startup. So this product you can also make if you want to make it. This is very good product that where we can dump the number of links, which is a kind of a startup idea, where you can dump number of links. Maybe many of the AI products which are doing this currently, but still they are not that much having a proper accurate output. Okay. So you can have this kind of thing like where you launch your own agentic AI chatbot, where suppose one candidate will come, it will put thousands of job links of his or her field. Then your chatbot will take one by one link, compare it with your data, and if it is matching more than 70% of what JD is requiring, then it will tell you you can go and apply on that. Okay, so this is how this, let's say, the product is doing, that job is done by this product. Okay, now what can happen is that supposedly uh, that one uh, report, yeah, that is kind of, you are talking about no code tools. We are see, I never motivate the folks to go for no code tools where we integrate Epify or maybe any LinkedIn job scrapers with any of the Claude and any LLM, right? That is the short way out. You do it on your own by coding. Why not coding? Do apply coding. That is what is the problem in today's generation. Everyone wants to integrate the no code, where they just want to integrate MCP servers, playwright MCP servers, integrate your own accounts, and then start doing this stuff. What you are going to learn with that? That is what is the question. What will be your learning? Your learning will be zero. That is a procedure to integrate the MCP servers. That is very standard procedure. Just you have to enable on the cloud MCP servers, right? So that is not a big deal. That you will not be able to get the learning from that. You are going to get the learning from doing the things by your own, right? So don't go for these things if you're planning to develop your students in the field of agentic AI, because that will not have this. Students also knows how to do this. They are very much expert than the faculties that how to do these kind of things. Okay, so please don't go for this integration and uh, no code things that are already developed. Okay, do something which helps you to learn, and then you can explain to your students by giving the demo that this is how I can code, and you can also code, right? So here what can be problem? Supposedly if you dump thousand of LinkedIn links, and the report will be generated by that agentic AI chatbot that these are the links which can help to that student to get the job. It will generate one report. Supposedly the chatbot is generating a report summary. Okay, now this chatbot takes, let's say, 2 minutes to generate the summary. Nominal time is 2 minutes. But maybe it may happen that after some time, the candidate started complaining to the startup product that your product is taking too much of time, let's say around 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes of time to just give me the report that on which portal or on which company I need to apply. Now, 10 minutes is very long time. Nobody is now in the era of multi-agentic AI system. Nobody will wait for 10 minutes. Okay. So in that case, what product developers has to do is they have to go to each and every node or the workflow or block, whatever block they have integrated in that complex workflow, to check where is the problem, right? Let's say the problem may be residing in, like, supposedly you have given the prompt like that, instead of only looking at the CV projects or maybe any your professional degree related or professional courses related part, you are asking your chatbot to go and scan the whole Google Drive. That could be a prompt manipulation. Like, the prompt is manipulated like this, that go to the Google Drive and scan it fully, not only the specific documents which are the student documents or candidate documents. Now, if it is scanning the whole Google Drive, then it may be having some kind of problem, right? So that we don't want. And that happens whenever we try to get the good output. We try to uh, write many prompts which are actually taking the overall time to execute the whole coding framework, right? So that we don't want. So that's where the debugging is required, that we need to debug where it is having some kind of problem. Okay, right? So that is very important part when we talk about the debugging. Second is cost, about runway cost. Okay, supposedly you are trying to make, or you have a chatbot which is a research assistant. Okay, now what will happen is, supposedly you ask to that chatbot that give me top 5 papers or give top 5 latest paper summary on agentic AI. You are asking that make a report which summarize the top 5 agentic AI papers having maximum citations. Having maximum citations. Supposedly you have you have this kind of chatbot which does this. Okay, okay. Now this kind of product you are selling to the customers. Let's say those who are requiring this product, like maybe a PhD candidates or MTech dissertation candidates. Very popular product it could be. I made my own product, which I've already shared with the some of the clients, right? Where it is having this kind of scenario only. So what is happening is that uh, maybe one summary of 5 papers take 50 paisas. Okay, but what may be happening is that somewhere down the line, your LLM is unnecessarily spending more tokens to give the output. Your LLM, it is taking more tokens. Why? What is the reason? That depends on the workflow, right? It may happen that now LLM is using more tokens to give the output. If we don't have something like a simple scenario that give me the answer in these words only. This is a simple scenario, but there are many factors. And by the time LLM is being tricked, maybe LLM itself started giving the output with more number of tokens. Now, if it is spending more tokens, obviously the cost will get increased. Maybe it require now 2 rupees report. So when you measure the number of tokens, you got that the tokens has increased like anything. and now it is costing me more. Okay, and that's what we have to track, that where it is going wrong, why it is taking that much of tokens to give the output. In that case, there is an issue of cost, which is very sensitive. Nobody wants this to increase, right? So in that case also, we have to then find out that why this is happening, why the cost is getting increased suddenly overnight, because traditionally it was taking only 50 paisas per report. Okay, so this is again require some kind of debugging. Okay, and this is the main scenario, hallucination. Okay, supposedly uh, uh, you are hired by one of the company, and they have made one chatbot, agentic AI chatbot, agentic AI chatbot, right? Now, what is that chatbot it is doing? Supposedly, this is what I gave to my summer internship students. Like, I asked them to make one chatbot for specific company, and that chatbot is whenever the new employee come in or hired on the welcoming day, the company will ask that employee to go through this chatbot, play with that chatbot, and try to know about company policies. Okay, right. Now that chatbot is helping the new hired employee know about, let's say, what is the leave policy. The new hired candidate will ask, what is the leave policy of the company? Now, if the chatbot is getting hallucinated, it may answer that there is no leave policy, right? You can go out wherever you want. There is no strict leave policies, and it is totally flexible. If this kind of answer is being given by the chatbot, ultimately it means that it is hallucinated. Now, where it is hallucinated, that is also not known. Okay, so that whole flow of RAG is to be derived, because it is a RAG based chatbot where every document is talking about the company policies, finance policy, leave policy, professional policy, ethics policies, right? Vacation policies, right? So that all things are RAG based. But if it is getting hallucinated, then you will not be able to get the idea that why this uh, chatbot is getting hallucinated and where the problem is. And to track down LLM based applications workflows is very difficult job. Okay, so that is also why we need something called as observability. Okay, if you know, in last class I told you about React. React is what? Thought, action, and observation. So observation is the last part where the results are being observed, and that's where Langsmith will come into the picture. Currently, tools which are actually helping, like I on the last day I explained you last Saturday that LLM gateways, which is the newer concept in agentic AI. It is already established, but in agentic AI now it has been used where any model which is available, LLM gateway will help you to use that model instead of relying on only two or three. So that also provides you the observability. Okay. So this is how the whole Langsmith is working on. Okay, so now I will directly tell you how Langsmith can be used practically. So I made a simple code just to explain you the Langsmith functionality. Now Langsmith, what you can do is you can just go to this, right? This is a Langsmith. So Langsmith is maybe, if I give you complete Langsmith idea, it may be requiring more than 3 hours to give you every functionality. Okay, but just to give you a quick idea that how Langsmith is actually used, I will give you the demo for at least 1-2 applications, right? So this, you have to log in first in Langsmith, then go to the settings, and there you will get the option of creating the API keys. That API key you can create, give the project name, the description of the key, like I gave the personal project. Keep this tick marked, which is personal access token. Then after that, what you can do is expiration date, keep it never. Okay, so it will never expire, and create the API key. Okay, and that key, where you will put, you will put it inside the environment variable. Like we are putting Grok API key, Gemini API key, OpenAI API key. Same way, we have to put this key inside the environment variable. Where it is? This is where lang, and you have to write like this, LangChain API key. Okay, this is what is your key which you have generated in the Langsmith, because Langsmith is the debugging framework officially made by the LangChain. So you have to invoke that key like this only, LangChain API key, right? Okay, and the model key which I am going to use, so I have kept that, right? Require then now why this key is required? Why this key is required? Because you are going to monitor your whole application workflow here in the Langsmith, right? So in that case, you have to use this API key, right? You can create the separate folder also, that also is possible, and you can keep it like this also. But everywhere you have to use this API key if you want to connect your this application which is running in the in the VS Code with this Langsmith. Okay, so that is always through this API key, right? So same procedure, you have to create the environment variable, put the LangChain API key, put the any model API that you are going to use, that model, that API key, you put it inside this. Okay, then this is the code. Okay, before that, requirement.txt. So in requirement.txt, everything is remaining same. Only one library, one module you have to use, you have to add. That is LangGraph CLI in mem. This you have to add in your requirement.txt, because this is the main library which will help you to track directly in the Langsmith cloud. Whatever the process which is going on over here in your code, that will directly getting reflected in this Langsmith cloud. For that, you need to have this LangGraph CLI in mem, right? So this is important. So you have to use this. Okay, right? Now, main file, where I want to just demonstrate the simple pandas, that what kind of code I want to run, what kind of workflow I want to implement. Okay. So now the few libraries like typedict I need to use, because my state is always the typedict. Okay. Then I need to use LangGraph also for this plotting the graph. I need to use reducers also to add the messages in the state conversation. If I am going to use some kind of tools, then I need to use tool node, because tools, when we bind with the LLM, if I want to call it with the node, then I can use tool node, which I have already explained you in very much of the depth in the last class. Okay. Tool node is required to define the tools and the messages, base messages. This OS library and this one is used to initialize your environment variable stuffs into your main code. So that is why we need these two. Okay. Now see, if I want to load the keys, so first is Grok API key. So os.envir that I need to use. And for LangChain, I am putting it inside the Langsmith API key. So this is the variable which I am using in my code. But originally you have to call it over here like this only. So here I am writing it as a Langsmith API key. So now this API key will get loaded inside this Langsmith. Okay, right? Now next, the next is I'm using model Quen, and I'm using this state, which is reducer state. I hope that you have gone through this kind of thing, agent state, chat state, normal state in detail from the LangGraph documentation. Then model, I am using Quen, which is my favorite from the Grok, chat Grok model, right? Now I have added two functionalities. Now what are those two functionalities? I'll tell you. Just for a time being, I'm commenting this so that you will be able to understand. Right? So now see there are two graphs which I have made. So I'll show you both the graph that how they work. Okay. Uh, what I want to return is I want to return the object called as agent. And from where I will be returning it, I will be returning it from make default graph. Okay. So the funda is very much simple that you have a starting node, then you have one node called as agent, and then there is one node called as end. Very simple workflow to demonstrate Langsmith. Right. Now, in this, see the graph how it will look like. So first is we are adding agent node, and that agent node will be implemented when we call the Python function called as call model. What that call model will do? The simple chatbot. It will pass on the message based on the requirement. Like if I ask hi, then it will give me hi. How are you? Then if I ask my name is Nikunj, then it will tell me, yes Nikunj, how may I help you today? The simple chatbot. Right? So that will be called inside this agent. Okay. So the graph is built like this: start, end, agent, end. So this is the simple graph. I will compile it and return the agent object. So whenever this will called, it will directly call this graph. Graph will get compiled and invoked, and you will get the graph. Simple as that. Right. So what I can do is I can run this now. How to run this? Again, you have to go to this debugging folder. So I will go to debugging folder. Now I need to do what? What is the next step? Now you are very much expert. What are the procedure? You have to activate the virtual environment. So you have to activate the virtual environment inside this. That is being done. Now you have to install requirement.txt. So that I am installing. So it will install all the requirements. So the requirements are being installed. Now how to run this? So there is some different way, some different command you have to write. Not like Python and then grok AI agent.py. Okay. Okay, before this, how this will call to Langsmith, or how it will make a request to Langsmith. So there is one file called as langgraph.json that you have to make. Langgraph.json. This file is untracked. If you are using GitHub directly, like if you whatever code you make, then you write git add dot to add, then git commit, write down some message and then push. If you are using it frequently, you will get this kind of like if you have connected your git with this VS Code, then you will be able to see which are the tracked file and which are the untracked file. Okay. So you have to make this LangGraph JSON. Now, what is inside the LangGraph JSON, which will make a request? Now, here you have the dependencies which you have to write. So this is a kind of a request format which allows Langsmith to know that what is the agent, what is that agent is doing, everything. Okay. So first is dependencies. Dependencies means all the dependency which are listed in this folder. That is why I have written dot. Dot means the whole. It will take this requirement .txt all the dependencies. Then it will come to know that I need to make one agent called as Grok AI agent inside the Langsmith. Inside the Langsmith, it has to make one agent which is having a name Grok AI agent. Now, from where it will come to know that where this is functionality is residing, where is this agent currently? So it will come to know by writing this dot slash, which is in current directory. Whenever we are in current directory, we write dot slash, and then the file name. What is the file name? Grok AI agent. The same ditto to ditto you have to copy and paste, right? Okay. And what object you are going to return which is performing that graph, which is the agent object, which is over here, this one. Okay. So whatever you are returning from this graph, that will be your final invocation that you are going to invoke when you give the input. Okay. So this you have to write it over here. So you need to show the Langsmith by making this langgraph.json, where you have to show this. These are my dependency. Whatever you find in my folder, all these are my dependency. I need to make a graph in which I am going to run one agent, which is nothing but Grok AI agent. From where you will get the functionality, you will get the functionality from the same folder in the file called as grok AI agent.py, and the object which is returning by this file is nothing but the agent. So by this it will come to know this is what is the Grok AI agent which I need to make inside the Langsmith cloud. And it also requires the environment variable, because without this Langsmith key, this LangChain or Langsmith, whatever you call key, it will not be able to connect. So there are two double dots. Two double dots means currently we are in this Grok AI agent. We have to come out of this, and this debugging, this .env is inside the debugging, which is in the main path. So that is why first we are coming out and then we are writing .env. Okay, right. So that is how you have to write the dependencies inside this langgraph.json until and unless you will not be able to connect your this code with the Langsmith cloud. This is a request kind of file which will let Langsmith know कि बनाना क्या है, what agent I need to make. Okay. Now how to run this? So simple. You are in debugging folder. Now you just need to write lang graph dev development. Dev stands for development. So it will open your Langsmith on localhost, and you can see it has directly drawn the graph, right? So the graph is ready, right? Now what you need to do is you can start playing with your agent here in this cloud. So don't have to now use this CLI. VS Code ka CLI you don't have to use. You can directly use this Langsmith cloud because your application is already in run. So now you have a license to use Langsmith once it will open on localhost. Why localhost? Say this 127.0.0.1, right? So now I can write the message. So you can just click on this message. So now you will get human, AI, system, tool, function, chat, many functionality. So you can click on any one of them. Let's say I click on human because I will be typing the question. So I'll write hi. And then I will not enter but submit. So see what it has done. Okay, the user just said hi. That is probably a typo for hi or hey. I need to respond in a friendly way. Let me check if there is any other context. What is this? This is a React. This is a React. It will try to take the input, break down the input into number of sub input, take the objective, they break down the objective into sub objectives by its own reasoning. That is called as React agent. And then it will give me the answer. Hi, hello, how can I assist you today? Right. Now there is one more thing which is already inbuilt, like there is something called as interrupt. Now if I just click on this before, right, let's say I click on this before, and then if I write my name is Nikunj, submit. Now see, it is asking me whether to continue or not. The same application I gave you in the demonstration in the last class using human in the loop Jupyter notebook, where I invoke the interrupt. It is giving me there is one interrupt. Whether I should pass this user query to the agent or not. That was the only simple demo that I gave you in the hitl.ipynb file. Okay, same thing it is over here. It will ask me whether to continue or delegate that query to the agent, yes or no. Then if I click on continue, so after thinking too much, it is giving me the answer. Hello Nikunj, how can I assist you today? Right. So uh, the interrupt functionality is already there in this. Okay. So you can use this. Uh, you can create the memory over here like a thread ID, which I told you, right? Then you can trace, right? Over here you can trace. You just have to make a project. I have not made the project. If I would have made the project and if I would have given that project name in this, then that will be directly tracked. But I don't want to do that because I just want to show you that how these things work. Okay, right? So this is how the first simple case will come into the picture, right? Now let me go to the next part. So now I will comment this and I will open this bracket, multi-line comments. Now this particular flow is about tool call, right? Now what is this tool call? Again, I have taken this simple mechanism where in call model earlier I was not doing anything, but now I will be using something called as model with tools. Model with tools. Okay, from where this model with tools come? This is from where it will come. Okay, so I have taken the model, which is a chat grok. I am using some tools. Which are those tools? That is only one tool which I have added, which is the calculator tool. And this is a doc string just to let LLM knows that what this uh, tool is all about. Okay, adds the to number. Okay, so here what I will do is, if I call the model which I have used over here, right? So call model, then tool node, which I need to make because I'm making this addition as a tool over here. I need to put this tool as a form of graph node. So that is why I need tool node. Okay. So your start will go to the agent. Now agent will be having two options. If the last message is having a tool calls, then go and implement tool functionality and return the answer. If the last message, again, last message means use human message, because human is the first one who is going to give a prompt. So if that does not involve any kind of tool call, then the LLM itself will generate the answer. Right. So this is nothing but the tool calling workflow which is being made. So I am making one more method for this, that is make alternative graph. And that is why I commented this make default graph, which was the simple one. Okay. So now it will take this and run this. Maybe I can comment this also. If otherwise, there will not be any kind of problem if I don't comment. Right. So this code I have commented. Now this is the only code which I am having. So again, what I can do, I can run this code. So currently tool call is not being made, so that is why it is not connected. But you can see that the tool node is already there. Right? It should have shown me. It should have been showing me this conditional age. It should show me, but it is not showing. I don't know why. But let's test the functionality. So if I write hi and submit. So hello, how can I assist you today? Now I can write the one question related to tool call. Can you tell me what is 1 plus 2? Right. So see, you can debug the process. I ask, can you tell me what is 1 plus 2? So first it went to the agent, right? And the see the format it gives me. That is what is Pydantic. It wants the input like this addition, a equal to 1, b equal to 2. So what it has done is from my message, it has converted that whole message into the structured format. A equal to 1, b equal to 2. That is the importance of Pydantic and TypeDict. That is why we are heavily using these in our workflow. Now, next is it knows that there is a tool, which is the addition tool, which it is having. So it has tool added these two number and make it 3, and then the result is again given back to the agent, and it is printing the result of 1 plus 2 equal to 3. Okay, this is the importance of Langsmith. You can track each and every smallest detail, whatever you are using in this your code, this one you can track down over here, right? Okay, so now what you can do is, this is a special kind of chat window which is already there. You can do what, directly you can deploy this in Langsmith cloud, whatever application you are running with. Like if you are using Streamlit, then you can use Streamlit cloud to deploy the whole application, where front end is Streamlit and the back end is any framework like LangChain or LangGraph. Okay. Same way, Langsmith also you can just deploy this at the Langsmith cloud. So that will also help you to give the prototype of the application, like how this application will look like when I will deploy it on the cloud, or when I will give the endpoint to the customer and customer will test that endpoint and get the result out of it. Okay. So this is the funda of Langsmith. So I hope that the things are clear in Langsmith also, how you can do this. Now from your side, what you can do is you can make a folder, give that folder. So you have to give that folder into .env over here. Whatever you want to track, you can give it over here. Okay. So that is how it will be doing this. So now what I can do is I can go to the next application, which is how to make agentic AI applications endpoints, right? So the application which I have taken is this block generation. Okay, right. Right. So now, very important stuff. How to make this agentic AI applications? How to take these application, take these local small code applications to the deployment part. Okay, and specifically LangChain LangGraph based application. Right. So you should know the process called as MLOps, or if the application is having any AI model, then it is called as LLM ops. And nowadays there is one more word which is specifically used, where we have agentic AI applications. This is, maybe you can call it as for a Gen AI. This is for this is AI ops. AI ops means it is for agentic AI application. And MLOps is nothing but all the machine learning, deep learning related application for which you can use the MLOps. Okay. So maybe many of you have worked in this domain. So those who have not worked, I can just simply put the concept and then you can understand the whole flow, right? That how it is being done. How many of you have worked with any of these? Can you tell me? Any of you have worked with LLM ops, ML ops, AI ops? Okay. Pradeep, okay. ठीक है, चलो. So now there are many things which are there in this, but uh, for this line graph based application part, I will explain you based on simple MLOps perspective, because which is very much important. See, making application in your local system does not suffice your purpose. It's just a kind of thing where you can make something and then just show to anyone, but it is not. It's not making any sense if you don't give some kind of endpoints like APIs of your application to someone to test it. Till that, there is no use of learning the AI. Okay. Whatever till now we were learning, that is nothing but the core logic. How to make agentic AI based small application which you can run in the local system. But when I talk about generating production grade applications, and that is why I took this topic as my last topic of this session, because I explained you the whole almost LangGraph uh, framework except the MCP part, right? and RAG part, because RAG you have already learned, and MCP or you have already learned, or maybe you're going to learn from any other expert. Okay, so these two I just kept it. I have not explained you, but RAG almost I explained you in the last in the agentic RAG, so that is okay. But only this thing is remaining. So what about my intention that at least I will cover 90% of the line graph, and then I will show you one application where at least you can make one API of your application, right? So the flow is like this, that first is the code which you are making, which is a core logic, which nothing but .py file. Now there is no IP by NB, consider this as a py file. So initially, whenever you want to run in your own system, you use IP by NB file, notebook file, which is called as experimentation stage or experiment stage, right? And then once you are aware about that the code is working fine, then you can make a py file of it, right? And that py file, you can make a API of it, okay, right? So maybe you can use Flask, right? So if you just ChatGPT will also help you to make a this Flask based application, right? And maybe you can use that is nothing but your app.py, app.py, your application.python file. You can use also fast API, fast API. Good. For RAG based, you can also go for deployment if you know something like Flowwise. Just try to check it out, Flowwise. This one. This is also very good. Okay. For RAG based application, you can use this. So fast API, this is a new option available with the developers. Now every machine learning, deep learning, agentic AI applications are being made with fast API, right? Because it is helping you to take the advantage of async. Means request to the API can be made asynchronously. Supposedly not the REST API, it is a async API. It is like that. Supposedly, I am hitting to one cloud kitchen based API for making my order, for giving the order. Supposedly, it's like a Zomato kind of thing. I am using that cloud kitchen API to place my order. Okay, so now I am a customer one. Let's say the same API is being used by one more customer two. Same API can be used by customer three, and so on. There are n number of customers. Now in simple without async API framework, what will happen is request will be served one by one, right? So if first request will be served, then the second request will be served, then the third one. In fast API, this request can be made in a async manner, like whichever will be earlier, that can be served first. So fast API is itself a big topic to learn, right? If I want to give you the learning of this, it may require me 3 hours to how to make a fast API based application of agentic AI. Okay, right? So fast API is the newer framework. Now what you will do is, once you have a model ready, your code ready, you make a model, that file will be, you make an endpoint which is nothing but the API. Means let's say you run it on 127.0.0.1, which I just now explained you in the Langsmith localhost, right? Now what is the next step? Next step is that you wrap this API and put it inside the Docker. Docker. or Dockerize your application. Dockerize your application. Docker. Docker is one type kind of container where you will put or dump your code, and your code will be able to run on any machine without any kind of dependency of library. Those who are not knowing about these things, I'm just explaining them in very much of simplest way and in brief. It is like it's like a bag. So whenever you go out, go for a travel, you have a bag with you in which you have your luggage, right? Same way, whatever your model API is, you can just put it inside this Docker, right? What is this? This is a kind of a container. Now, if I made my application and if I have Dockerized it, and if I sent you, then you will be able to pull that Docker image or Docker image. Docker image means which is your code with which your container works or run. So if you pull that Docker image and run inside your system, then also it will be able to run. No matter whatsoever your system is. If your system is Linux, if your system is Mac, and my system is Windows, that will not make any kind of uh, confliction when I Dockerize it. Dockerize it means it's a simple thing. Once I will make my application, I put it in one bag. That one bag can be executed at any place in your system, in your friend's system, wherever in the world, whosoever is using my application, they will be able to run on their own device without any kind of dependency installing. Okay, supposedly if I run LangGraph version 2 and in your system there is LangGraph 1. Now I made my application with LangGraph version 2, and then if I give you, since your system is having LangGraph version 1, it will not be able to establish this compatibility. My application will not be able to run on your system because your system is having LangGraph version 1, right? So in that case, it may become fail and will give you the error that this application requires LangGraph version 2 to execute, so install LangGraph version 2. Or maybe Python, simple Python dependency. If I want that I have used Python 3.1.3.5. I have used 3.13.5 Python version. But you have 3.12 Python 3.12. Now, if you want to run my application in your system, you will not be able to run because you are running the lower grade version. And I made the application which is the newest version of the Python. So that is where Docker comes into the picture. You have to Dockerize your application, put it in one bag. Okay, right? And that you can deploy it, your this Docker image, you can deploy it on any of the cloud, let's say GCP, to make a prototype. Google Cloud Platform or AWS, Amazon Web Service. But if you are targeting the customers, many customers who wants to use this application, let's say you are having a cloud kitchen application which is being used by lakhs of the customer, then you have to deploy it on the Kubernetes. Kubernetes cluster, which you are going to run on GCP. You'll put this on GCP, you will run this pods, cluster pods, so that it will be able to run your application inside GCP. Kubernetes itself providing you the scalability that number of customers can use this, your application. Okay, right? So there will be having the server part. Now for that you can use GitHub Action, or you can use Jenkins, which is industry grade procedure. So all these things will come under now CI/CD pipeline or CI/CD continuous integration, continuous deployment. Right? Okay. So if you change something in your code, and if you have established this whole pipeline, like deployment till the cloud in the Kubernetes, then that smallest change will also get reflected over there also, without you have to manually change. Okay, so this is called as the production grade application making of your own project. And this is a very complex procedure. Once you practice it for at least 10 to 15 projects, then it will be good to go, like the flow will come. Okay, otherwise you have to just find out a way that now what will be the next. It is boring procedure kind of thing. It's a very boring, but yeah, once you deploy it on any cloud, then you will be very much happy that my application is able to can be used by any other, wherever the person is there in the world, it is able to use that application. Right, so that is like a big procedure, but once you know it, you will enjoy to always deploy your application. Okay, right. So now I will show you what I have done, and for which you have to follow some standard procedure. You have to make certain folder which helps you to do all this CI/CD procedure, continuous integration, continuous deployment. I tried to take very minimum procedure so that I can explain you properly. Okay. Now, what is the funda? Funda is that block generation. So I have made two workflows in this. First is the title will be given by the user, title of the blog. The title of the blog will be given by the user. That will go to the node called as content generation. Content generation, it will generate the content and you will get the blog. Simple. Second is, once user will give the title, second workflow, that will go to the content generation. Now there is one more block which I have added, which is called as language translation. Language translation. Language translation means what? That whatever blog, let's say the blog is generated in the English. So now I can translate that blog into many of the choices. Currently, I have taken only two choices, Hindi and French. Hindi and French. Whatever, now it is a conditional age. It is a conditional age. So supposedly my blog is generated in English. Now I am looking for the language translation. If the user is giving that I want to generate or I want to translate this blog into Hindi, then this branch will get activated. It will translate that blog into Hindi and the workflow will get ended. If the user wants that blog to translate it into French, then the translation takes place and the workflow will get ended. Okay. Now, what is my final goal? That I want to make this application API, which is endpoint, right? And that I will make it using fast API. Fast API. And I will test that fast API using something called as Postman. So instead of having front end like Streamlit or Gradio is also one of the front end part. Like in Jupyter only, you can just make a Gradio code, which is nothing but the front end of your application. I am using the API as a front end. Like just I will give the API, I will give my input to that Postman. I'll give the API, which is nothing but my local API, local host 1.127.0.0.1. I will give a title on this Postman block title. I will give the language on this. It will hit the backend. The backend is whole line graph and line chain. It will do all these stuffs, and it whatever answer will be there, which is a translated block, it will come to the Postman. It will show me over here. Okay, so once you have this API, you can directly deploy it on the cloud. That procedure I will not show you. That you can do it on your own. Just you have to make an account on Google. You can enable some firewalls. You have to give some port number. You have to give the Docker port number, and then you can directly run it on the Google Cloud. Okay, so that part you can do it. I'm giving you up to this API part. Okay, right. So I hope the funda is clear, like what is my objective, right? Now, to make the end-to-end project, what you need? So you need this folder, which is called as, first is, there are very many mandatory components you have to make. Okay, which are those mandatory components? Like first is SRC. SRC is nothing but source folder. Now this is a very standard procedure that you have to follow when you are going for end-to-end deployment. Because what we encourage when you go for end-to-end deployment, always go for something called as the concept called as modular coding. Modular coding. If you don't know modular coding, you will not be able to establish this CI/CD pipeline or deploy the application. This is also very much important nowadays. People know Python oops concept. People know Python, but they don't know how to modularize the whole code. Modularize means module by module you should be able to write the code. Like this is my one module. This is my second module. This is my third module. And at last I need to connect all these into my main file. That is called as modularization of the code. So if you don't know that, CI/CD is far away from you. Okay, so first you should know Python, you should know Python oops, then you should know modular coding. Now in modular coding, many things comes into the picture, right? So first is, let's say I want to modularize my code because before that I cannot deploy my application. So in SRC, you have to keep those codes which are very much required and the part of the whole block diagram of your application. Those codes you have to put it inside SRC. SRC is kind of a hero of your project. Without actor, there cannot be any picture. Same way, without SRC, there cannot be any kind of deployment. There cannot be any code. There cannot be any application. Right? So in SRC, you can see I kept how many components? 4 components. First is LLM, which is from where I will load all the chat models, all the brain which I have configured in my application. Supposedly, I have used 5 AI models, 5 LLMs. Like one is uh, Grok, second is OpenAI, third is Gemini, fourth is Claude. Supposedly, I'm using 5 LLMs. All those 5 LLMs will be put, all the configuration of all those will be put inside these LLMs. This is the LLM folder. So here I am only using Grok LLM for my every task. So I have made one file called as grokllm.py. If you see this file, see, this is a code for loading the Grok or using the Grok model. See what I've written. From langchain grok import chat grok, taking the API keys of the grok, initialize. Now see, whenever you go for modularized coding, you are going to use oops concept, and in oops concept you have to use something called as class and the self methods inside this. Okay, Don't worry, I have made one document which will simplify this whole concept, that I will share it with you. So this in itself means it will tell that what it is currently running, that which object is in current run, that is OOPS concept. So in modularized coding, every class is having the methods which are inferenced by self. Okay, it will tell the executor that which object is in current run. Okay, so you can invoke using self. अगर आपको समझना है तो what you can do is supposedly you have one form. You have one form. Let's say you are filling one exam form. For which exam you need to appear, UPSC exam form, in which there is one column tab called as name. Now this is the form which is there with you, and inside which it is asking you what is your name, means it is calling you. So I will write Nikunj. So currently this is in execution, this object is in run, that is called as self init, right? Okay, this concept you can understand it very easily. You should know the logical part of it. Okay, oops concept. Okay, so now you can write one method for getting the LLM, and see again it is self. Okay, so what I will do, I will write it over here. I will write the grok API key model I want to use. Till now I was writing it in the main file, only one file I was showing you. Now I will show you multiple files. And why this is a function? Because I want to call this from anywhere else of my folder files. I can use this. Okay, right? So this is specific file for only invoking all the AI models. That's it. There is no code in this beyond this, right? One more thing. Why we put all these main folders inside SRC? As I told you, SRC is the hero. When you look at any requirement.txt, supposedly this requirement.txt, what all these are? These are the already established libraries which you can import from the outside world, like LangGraph, LangChain community. These are already built and you can import it in your folder. But now, when I talk about all these files like LLMs, graphs, nodes, I need to use all these inside my main file, which is my app.py. This is my main file which I will be running for this whole application. I want to use all these files like this. You can see this grok LLM. From where I have used grok LLM, just now I have shown you. In SRC folder, there is something called as grok LLM. This one. From where it is LLMs. Where it is inside the SRC folder. What I am importing? Grok LLM. How I am able to use this? Because I am able to define something called as init init dot py file. This file, it's a blank file, but you have to, when you create this file, you will create this file when you want to declare that as one complete package. Same way as LangChain, LangGraph, LangChain community, LangGraph core messages, and so on. Whenever you want to declare any folder as itself one package, you have to use this -init dot py, not hyphen, but underscore init underscore py. Now, if you see this, inside graph also I have made this file. Inside LLM, I have also made this file. Inside node also I have made this file, and inside states also I have made this file. Because I want to use all these as one package. Okay, right? So first graph, okay, so I explained you LLM. So LLM is only having this one file which is invoking the grok model. Next, what is next? What can be the next? So next is block state, right? Now I'm explaining the things in flow so you can digest that what is the actual flow, how the whole code works. Because many of the times the students are not able to understand that what is this envelopes and how these things are being made, how, what kind of folders are to be made mandatory, and how those things work. The flow is very much complex. Okay, right? So this is a block state which is inside this state, and state is also a package. So I am able to import this package, state package, from my app.py. See this over here. Okay, so I can use this inside. So all these all these are my package. Okay, so if I go to this now, see what are the inputs inside this. Then there are two things. First is kind of a class which is a block class, and other class is block state. Block is Identic, block state is typedict. Now this is the code where I'm using both of them, Identic and typedict, both. Because the states are always defined in typedict, and any particular class which you want your LLM to learn to give the structured output, that you will use for the Pydentic. Okay, so now what input user will give? User will give two inputs. First is title of the block. So I am helping the LLM to know what this title field is containing. It contains the title of the blog post. Second is the content. Now whatever blog will get generated, right? So understand first the state and then the block, so it will get more clear. First, the user will give the topic, right? From the topic, it will generate the title. From the title, it will generate a blog, and it will generate the content. Like the content is itself a blog content it will generate. And after that, it will also take what is the current language. Current language of the blog is English. If I want to translate it into any other language, that is why I took this variable in the state variable. So topic will be given by the user, blog will be generated by the this two, where you have the blog ka title and blog ka content. So this is actually residing in this, which is a one more class. This is how you have to understand. This blog will be looking like this. It is having title field, where it is having one title which is a string type, and second is content, which is nothing but the blog content. Okay, and then it will also store what is the current language. This is also a required variable, because supposedly if the current language by default I kept it English, but if I want it to translate to the, let's say, Hindi, then this variable will get updated and now it will become Hindi. So it will be able to hold this, that what is the current language. Okay. Now where this input will be given? This input will be given by this file, which is called as request.json. Request. So this is the format with which the input get passed. Now the same format I am using inside Postman. This is called as Postman. So Postman is the one of the framework where you can use all the requests which you want. Like you can get the request, you can post the request, pass the request, delete the request, whatever you want. Okay. So see how the input is given. Topic, Agentic AI, language, French. If you hit the send button, it will hit to this endpoint. Endpoint I have already created using Fast API, and it will hit to this blogs. Why blogs? Because in my app.py, which is my main folder, this is the endpoint. And it is which request? Post request. That is why I am keeping this as a post. Where it will hit? It will hit at the local host /blocks. Okay. So this is my endpoint. I need to write this, otherwise it will not be able to get the response. Okay. Same way, I can track down this whole application inside LangSmith. So that also I have implemented. Right. So that also I have kept it in this LangGraph JSON. You can see the same thing which I was explaining you for the earlier dependency, all graphs. I am looking for which is the file which is you building a graph for you. So inside the source folder, there are many folders. So inside that graph, there is something called as graph builder.py. Without this, you will not be able to run the application, because all the graphs workflows are given over here. Whatever workflow is you need to invoke so that you can pass the data and get the output. The whole workflow will get executed. Whole graph will get executed. That is inside this graph. So for that, in langgraph.json, you have to give this file, and inside what you are going to return, you are returning graph, which is going to execute your whole answer. It will returning will be having whole answer inside this. Okay, right? And this is the name which you can give, say any name you want to give, but you need to give a path. Like in current directory, there is some src folder. In src, there is one folder called as graph. Inside graph, there is something called as graph builder.py, and that is returning something called as graph object. That is your answer, which I am interested right now. That is the importance of tracking langgraph.json. So you are running the application, and once you run the application, you are also monitoring it in the langgraph. Right? Okay. Right. Now let me go to the SRC again. So in SRC, LLM is done, state is done. In state only I am having block state. Now the main part, which is graph. In graph, I am having graph builder.py. Right? Now in graph builder.py, I told you I have made two workflows. One is without translation and one is with translation. So I need to provide both the workflows over here in this file only, which is graphbuilder.py. Now this file requires what? Which kind of input it requires? For drawing a graph, it requires first, because this is the file which is going to make a workflow and then invoke that workflow. This is the file which is executed at the back end once I will execute this front end. So once I will hit that endpoint 127.0.0.1, this one, with the port number 8000, this port number you can give it whatever you want. But when I hit this is nothing but the API endpoint of this app.py. This is the endpoint of this app.py. And when this will get hit, it will call to this graph builder.py. And the whole graph will get invoked. So all the execution will take place inside this. Now what it requires? It requires everything. First, to draw the graph, whatever the libraries are there, that it also requires the LLM, because LLM is going to be the main hero for executing the task. It also requires the user input, like what kind of title is there, what is the language is there. As I told you, this is where it will be going to give the input. Okay, so that input also is there in the block state, and block state is nothing but there in the SRC states block state. That also it requires. Now this is containing the nodes. Like the node is what? What is the node inside this workflow? Node is content creation. So content creation as a node I will define inside the graph builder.py. but the node functionality is written inside the nodes folder, which is also there in the SRC. The Python function for individual node is written inside the SRC folder called as nodes. You can see this one, blog node. Here, each and every Python function is written. This is called as modular coding, where Python function is defined in one file together, all the working. The nodes are defined, the graph is defined in the another folder. So it will call to this graph builder py, and graph builder py automatically to execute the node, it will call this. And for this, what it requires? Block state, right? So all the inputs will be required by this file only. Okay. So now let's go to the graph builder. First we will understand them, then I will come to this. Again, whenever you use the init self, then that will you have to list it like you are going to run the block state, because user input will be taken by this. How it will start building the graph? It requires the user input and it requires the LLM. So every method inside this class is written as self.x, self.y, and so on. Okay. Now, first is what we are going to do is we are going to make a workflow for making a whole graph for the first case, which is generating the content only. So first, there will be a start. Start means the title creation. Now this title creation I have already written in this blog node. I will open it to the side. So see this. First is the title creation, this one. This is the title creation. Okay. Then next is what? Title creation will go to the content creation. So if you see this, the next is content generation or content creation, whatever it is. Right? Then it will go to the end. So this is the first workflow. What is the second workflow? Second workflow with the language. So in language, see the nodes. First is title creation. Now how we are writing inside, see this self.blognode.object. Complete oops. Okay. Whatever method you called, you have to call it with self. Whatever object you call it, you have to call it with self. Right? So self.blog.node object, and then content generation. Then next is what? Next is Hindi translation. Now there will be a, so see this, there is a conditional edge. What is that edge? There will be a route function which is defined. That route will be having two options. There can be Hindi translation. Now this all we have seen how to make a graph. But now this is with modular coding, pure oops, you have to use these all concepts. Hindi translation, French translation. Okay, right? And from both of the translation, any one will get triggered. Let's say this is getting triggered. So you can see that translation part. Okay. So here you have two options, Hindi and French. So once that is done, then it will go to the end. Okay. And this all thing will be invoked by this. Like we write graph.invoke. Same way over here, if I want to compile this graph, I need to call one method based on the topic, and the second case is based on the language, because there are two workflows. First is based on the topic. It will first build, if I give only topic, then it will make only this graph, this one, build topic graph, only first graph, this one. But if I give with language, then it will build accordingly the second graph, which is this one. That also is inside the function, and we are invoking and compiling it using self.graph. Okay. Now, how to initiate this process? You have to take this graph builder, LLM, and invoke the graph. Okay. So the whole flow, understand, the whole flow is there inside this graph builder. Okay. Now the next is individual node working. Again, you need the LLM, so you import that. Now here you need to make a class which is block node. Block node. Okay. Because this is a block node function which is called inside this block node. So when it will execute this, it will go over here. Okay. First method is, now whatever we learned till now, everything will come in this. So I told you how to make a graph. That all thing already is over here. How to declare tool as a node, which we already seen. Next is how to use a prompt template, or what are the messages, human message, AI message, everything will come over here. So first method is title creation. So in title creation, it will take a topic from the state, and then there will be a prompt generation. That prompt will be given to the system message. Like, you are an expert blog content writer. Use markdown formatting. Generate a blog title for a topic. Now, what is this? This is a placeholder. This is called as prompt template. This title should be creative and SEO friendly. We will give this whole prompt to the system message as a system message. Like, we assign a role. Okay. We will print that. We will give that to the LLM, and then LLM will generate the block title only. It will generate a block title. So based on this first execution, it will generate the title of the block only. Now next is in sequence. Now these two will run side by side. It will first go to this, it will run this. Now it will go to the content generation. So come to the content generation. It will take a block state as an input. Again, because the block state is having the title itself. So it will be taking that topic which is generated by the earlier method, which is title generation. Then again, we are going to make one system prompt. You are expert blog writer. Use markdown formatting. Generate a detailed blog content with detailed breakdown for the topic. Again, placeholder. And what it will return? It will return the title with the content. Then this is a use case number one. If the second use case is triggered, which is this one, language, then it will call to the language, this one, this workflow. And here we have some more functionality, right? So let's do that. Translation. So translate the following content into current language, from where it will get block state. Maintain the original tone, style and formatting. Adapt cultural reference and idioms to appropriate for current language. And you have to provide the block content. So this will be based on that, it will translate it for you. Again, if your LLM is good, you will be able to get proper output. We are not hitting any API, mind well. For translation, we are not hitting any API. We are not using any kind of services which are doing this machine translation. Machine translation means one language to any other language translation. You might have heard about these services. There are many services which does. Google is having its own services. Same way, there are many. I am not doing that. I'm relying on my Grok only. Grok is best. Okay. Grok will give me the proper translation. Okay. Then it will check because it has to use that on also, which is in the state you have a current language. So in root decision, it will root this. So that is the conditional age which is added over here. Root condition. Once it will execute this, it will go to this and it will execute. If current state is Hindi means it will check, is it a Hindi? It will return that whichever the required by the user. If the user is asking Hindi, if the current language is Hindi, means job is done. It will return this into the agent, graph agent. If current language is French, which is required by the user, then it will stop. Else, by default, is always English. Okay. So this is called as the node folder in which we have a blog node. Again, this is also a package. That's why we are writing it as underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. So now you have these four which are already ready. Okay. Then this is one more file which is this folder I have implemented using UV package manager. I have not executed this using, or I have not installed the dependency using PIP. I have used UV package manager. So if you want to run this code, you can go to my GitHub repository. In GitHub repository, there is one folder called as UV codes. Inside this, I have given how to install UV inside your VS Code. Right? So you have to first install the UV, right? From this, then check the version of UV, and then start initiating your project with UV. Right? Okay. So, so once then you create the virtual environment using UV, add all the requirements using UV, like same way what we do in the PIP. Why UV? Because UV is very fast. Okay. So once you install UV and you create the virtual environment, I have also created the virtual environment. Okay. This is the virtual environment. You have to make this file, which is pyproject.toml, in which all the dependencies are listed. This is kind of a thing which is very much important, because what it actually tells you that my project name is, it's like a book का main cover. अगर आप कोई बुक पढ़ते हो तो पहला क्या आता है, फ्रंट पेज के पहले जो मेन कवर होता है उस पे व्हाट इट इज रिटन, टाइटल ऑफ द ऑथर, वो बुक का टाइटल, दैट इज अ मेटा डेटा. This pyproject.toml is nothing but the metadata of your application. So what it actually tells you, what is the name of the project. So I kept it customized as a blog agentic. यहाँ पे आप कुछ भी you can write. Version of this is my first launching of my application, so I am writing 0.1.0. Here you can describe what this project is all about. I kept it only this placeholder kind of thing. README also you can put it. This application require Python version more than 3.13. This is clear-cut instruction which is written inside pyproject.toml. So whenever you pull any kind of application inside your system from the GitHub, always check this file, because every application now is being managed with UV package manager, and every instruction is written inside this, that check your Python version. If it is greater than 3.13, you are good to go. You require fast API version greater than this, LangChain greater than this, LangChain community version greater than this. All the dependency versions are there. If you have anything below this, this will not work. This application will not work in your system. Okay, right? So this is the pyproject. You can make a readme.md file where you put all these commands, like I put it inside this. Right? The proper deployment. Okay, right? Now this is my main file. This is I will be going to run. So for making this file as a fast API, it wants this support, which is called as UVCon. Right? This is the main required thing to make a fast API of your application, UVCon. Right? Then you can use fast API from the fast API request, all these things which are required. Now this is the loader file. Like it will make a app, fast API app of this particular main code. It will load your LangChain, LangGraph API key. It will load your Grok API key, right? It will make an endpoint like this. The first method is create a blog. Now this method is nothing but it is the async method. I told you async await. Every agentic AI application is following async await method. Means whichever first is implemented, that will be served first. It's not like that the queuing part. First application request, second application request, third application request will come. No. First user come, second user come, third user come. Whatever user request will be served, whatever user request will be compiled and implemented, that will be served first. Okay. So in that case, this is how we can make it first come first, not like first come first serve, but async of it. Please understand this functionality when you make a agentic AI application. Async of it, how you can write. In AutoGen, everything is async of it. Then Grok LLM, load that Grok LLM, make a graph builder, load that graph. Two condition, either topic and language both or only topic, and it will return. And whenever you make this as a main file, you have to write this. If underscore name is equal to underscore main, UVCon, which is for the fast API, when you implement this, it has to be implemented using UVCon. It will run on local host, which is 127.0.0.1. Port number is 8000, and every time you will reload, you will get the fresh start. This is the application. Okay, so what we can do is we can run this application fast. So deactivate cd, go to block generation. Right now here I need to make this it is already there, so I can directly activate this .venb, then scripts, sorry, and activate. So my virtual environment is activated. Okay, right, which is block. I gave my virtual environment as block generation, not my VNB. Till now I was using this. So now I can do this Python app.py. So it will run your fast API, make a fast API of this, and it is saying application startup complete. Now go to the Postman. In Postman, go to this post, give a post, write HTTP 127.0.0.1 and port number 8000 because my port number is 8000. And the endpoint is created with blocks, this one. So you write down blocks, in which you go to raw. In raw, you select the JSON because it is a JSON format and give it like this: topic agentic AI language French. Write down this JSON format and send. So it will send the request. I hope it will run properly because it runs previously and I got this output. Yeah, so there is some internal server error. So maybe some API call is actually missing or not able to get the output. But previously I was able to run and I got the output. So that's why I kept it for you. So I tried 3-4 times, and many times it was not able to hit that. Then suddenly it was giving me the output. So these are the some consistency that you have to make proper when you uh, go for coding deployment part. Yes, now I got. This is what is the problem. When you use free tier services, Grok is free, that is why. So many times it gives you something else, right? This is in French. Okay. Now what I can do is I can open one more terminal, one more command prompt, and I can write langgraph div. Sorry. Right. You can simultaneously monitor also. If you want, you can just check it from your end if the time is less with us. Then I guess I listed out. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. My bad. This happens when you have many things running in your mind. Okay. Many languages, many IDs. Okay. Now I can write langgraph div. Let's see if langgraph is responding or not. Yeah. Blow. It's say this. Graph is ready, right? So you can just give the title or write down make a blog on Agentic AI. Let's see it is taking there or not. Yeah, it has already triggered whole graph, right? So see the whole flow, content generation, title creation, everything is working. Okay, this is the blog, right? Okay, so that is how the whole thing is running. I hope you got the idea. These are the titles. Okay, there is some error in this path. Okay, okay, but it has given some content which it was generating. So there is some minor thing which I need to correct. Otherwise, it is going good. Yeah. So I hope you got the idea that what we are trying to implement. The two things are in run. So you have to make sure that your this workflow, this fast API should be running, and at the same time you have to trigger the Langsmith, so that you can run this workflow in the Langsmith. You can monitor this in Langsmith. Okay. Yeah, so that's it from my side. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. The insightful discussion, practical demonstration, and cleaner explanation made the session extremely engaging and beneficial for all the participants. Now, if any participant have any question, they can put their question in the chat or else can raise their hand for direct. Yes, Pradeep Kumar.
So this kind of efforts are required when you make an application.
हेलो सर, गुड
is
आफ्टरनून
the-
सर.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hello, sir.
सर मेरा ये क्वेश्चन है सर, जैसे अभी because we require a lot of the library to execute and they must be compatible for that. And can we execute all this code in the Google Colab? It will
नहीं सर, उसमें क्या होगा कि गूगल कॉलैब का जो कोड है वो आप उसको डिप्लॉय नहीं कर पाओगे. गूगल कॉलैब एक आपको एक स्टेजिंग एनवायरनमेंट देता है जहाँ पे कि आप जब अपनी एप्लीकेशन बनाने बैठ रहे हो पहली बार, तो उस टाइम पे आप उसको स्टेजिंग स्टेज पे आप उसको एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन पार्ट में कंसिडर कर सकते हो कि हाँ मेरा कोड अब मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ. तो चेक करने के लिए आप गूगल कॉलैब या जुपिटर नोटबुक को ले सकते हो. पर जब आप एप्लीकेशन डिप्लॉयमेंट पे जाओगे तब आप जुपिटर नोटबुक को भी नहीं लोगे, आप डायरेक्टली .py फाइल बना के उस पर काम करोगे और आपको मॉड्यूलर कोडिंग करना पड़ेगा जो शायद गूगल कॉलैब में इतना सही से नहीं हो पाता. तो आपको मॉड्यूलर कोडिंग करना हो तो आपको एडिटर ही चाहिए रहेगा, वीएस कोड या कोई भी जो भी आप कर्सर यूज कर रहे हो. तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि मॉड्यूलर कोडिंग लिखना कैसे है.
Another thing is, sir, we are deploying all these applications with Langsmith and all. Our code will be safe in that case, or we are just using API call?
Yeah, it will be remaining safe. So, there is no problem in this. Any leaking problem is not there. Your code will remain safe. Only like whenever you go for real-time agentic AI application, which like any event is happening real time and that is triggering your workflow. In that case, there may be some issues, but in simple task, there will not be any kind of discrepancy, I guess.
Sir, another my request is this. I think this is already the 7th day of the workshop, and somebody, if like me, we are working on the images, and we didn't get any single example related to image data set. So, if you just guide me how we can use that for image data set.
In image also, like you have to use computer vision where you have to are you using medical application or something like, or
Yes,
like
sir.
what?
Medical and diseases like that. Yes.
So in that case, your logic will be written in computer vision, like the CNNs, where you can use all those object detection and segmentation, image segmentation model. And you can also use this agentic AI ops or maybe LLM ops with the same, where you can deploy your RetinaNet or YOLO or whatever the models are, right? Whatever the image models are, that also you can use, or maybe you can use vision transformer also instead of this, so that it will give you more autonomy in case of connecting the dots between the image, right? So that's where attention between the images you can use vision transformer, but that will be more complex. When you deploy the vision transformer kind of application on the hardware, it will eat up your RAM and all those things. It's very heavy, right? So in that case, go for simple object detection models and segmentation models. That will help you. But all these things, the logic, the whole funda will remain same. Only your core logic will not be text, but it will be the image. That's it.
Sir, actually, deployment is not criteria here. We are just want to integrate our application with this agentic AI so that we can put some novelty in our work. That's why I'm asking in that context.
Okay, so what I can do is I'll share you that also in my GitHub, that tech stack, how to use that image with the end-to-end agentic AI. That also I
How
will,
we can convert our data set into multimodal or somewhat we can
yeah,
use for
yeah,
orchestration for
yeah.
that.
I'll put that whole like text, so we know image and video also I will put.
Okay, thank you.
I'll put the system diagram. I'll not write the Big Bang explanation. I'll put the text कि पहले क्या आएगा, बीच में क्या आएगा और बाद में क्या आएगा. You just have to connect the dot from your end.
Okay, sir.
Okay, anything else? Yeah, so it was a nice. Thanks for listening it patiently throughout this 7 or 6 sessions, and it's a great honor for me to become a part of this prestigious FDP sponsored by Government of India, supported by Government of India, and all of you. All thanks to you participants, those who have who are patiently listening me since last many days, and maybe many of you have started implementing these stuffs at your end also, and at least my objective was that give you a kickstart and give you some kind of kick that you start this domain. And yeah, I will share my email id. My email id, if you want to collaborate with me in terms of research, because many institute students are doing that also, and if you want to sorry, there is one more. This is not, you can, this is the proper email id. Actually, I forgot, there are many email ids. This one, nikunjvtec@gmail.com. First one you can just uh, ignore. This is the final email id. So you can just if you have any query, you can ping me on this. And if you're looking for research collaboration, then also you are always welcome. You can also connect me on LinkedIn, because wherever I give the talk, it always come on the LinkedIn. I am very much active uh, speaker in Gen AI and Agentic AI. I am having some more FDPs to come on AI tools and Cloud Code, and specifically for the sessions on Cloud Code in some of the universities. So I will be speaking in that also. So every updates in last 1 year, I have given more than 25 sessions, workshops, seminars in Gen AI and Agentic AI. So you can connect me through LinkedIn also. If you want to invite me at your place or by online, you can always invite for Gen AI, Agentic AI, or any machine learning, deep learning kind of thing. Right? So computer vision, NLP. So yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. So now on behalf of all the participants, we would like to extend a special note of gratitude for you to conducting the 6th session in our FDP on Agentic AI. Your valuable guidance on RAG, Agentic AI, LangChain, and live hands-on demonstration has greatly enriched our learning experience. So
Thank
thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir, for your continuous support, dedication, and for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you specifically to Dr. Mahipal Jadeja, sir, for making me part of this, and always he is very active. I should say the one and only active, maybe the active person in this field, Gen AI and Agentic AI. He is doing very good work, and he is also OpenAI recognized. And yeah, so the person like this always a good asset for the Indian tech community and the whole uh, tech community. So yeah, thanks to him specifically.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Pransu Vyas for session 2 of day 7 in the faculty development program on agentic AI. Dr. Pranshu is associated with the DE Show Group and is the alumni of Department of CSC at MNIT Jaipur. With his strong technical background and industry experience, we are excited to learn from his insight and practical understanding of modern technologies and AI-driven systems. We are delighted to have him with us today and look forward for an engaging and an informative session. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Pranshu Vyas. Welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Hey, hi everyone. So yeah, a bit introduction about myself, and then I think we will start. So I work as a senior software developer at D Shaw India, and most of my role is on the infra development of a risk team here. So the team which mainly works on computing all the risk associated with the daily trades, with the team which maintains the infra for that.